of tea is an excuse to share great thoughts with great minds. And today we shall be doing exactly that. Hello and welcome to yet another interesting episode of the Economic Times Cutting Chai Stories, brought to you by ET Edge. In these Cutting Chai conversations, we have a discussion with our guests around the areas of their early life, education, training, business sense, skills augmentation, and work life balance. And we have the fun rapid fire segment where we get to know them a little bit more. This is your host Deepthi Diwan, and our guest speaker today is Bangalore based Natraj Chaudhary, Head of Engineering at Zolve. Natraj leads technology and data at Zolve, where he is working on transforming the neobank's business model with new age technologies and building innovative financial products for migrants across the world, thereby helping them in facing the challenges in moving to a new country, like creating bank accounts, credit cards, investment products, remittances, etc. Prior to this, he has worked with Ola, where he was the chief architect and vice president of engineering. Natraj has over 19 years of experience in working with leading companies like Walmart Labs, NEC Labs, Cisco, and Wipro. Interesting fact, he has also led the team which built the largest biometric deduplication engine in the world for UIDAI Aadhaar project while at NEC Biometrics. So a very warm welcome, Natraj, and let's kickstart this conversation.
Thank you. And thank you for the nice introduction. Pleasure to be here.
Absolutely, and it's our pleasure too. So let's start with your early life, your childhood and schooling. You went to school at Don Bosco, where you were part of the Don Bosco quiz team. So tell us about that, and tell us about your school days. And was it your choice to be a part of the quiz team, or were you pushed into it by your parents or teachers?
No, it was not. I was quizzing was something of a passion, and this continued till pretty late in my academic career, where I participated in inter-college quizzes and things like that. So there was a very active quizzing circuit in the city I grew up in, Guwahati. It's a city in Assam. I was very passionate about it. It was not that someone pushed me into it or something like that. I really enjoyed it.
Well, thank you. And any instances that you recall during your school days, any specific instances or any times?
No, a lot of instances. As a matter of fact, as I mentioned, I grew up in Guwahati, both my parents were professors there, and the place where the neighborhood where I grew up, I had a lot of friends of the same age and things like that. So I had a very normal childhood, did a lot of things at school. Quizzing is just one of them. So it was a very normal very enriching childhood with a lot of friends and very rich memories from those days. Nothing in particular which sort of I can recall, but in general, something I remember very fondly when I look back.
Okay. And so you mentioned that both your parents were professors. What was the atmosphere like at home then? Was it very strict or they were very easygoing? And any lessons that you learned from your parents that have stayed on with you till date?
No, it was contrary to the popular belief. It was a very easy-going environment. My parents never pushed me into something that, oh, you have to do this or you have to do that. They were very supportive. They were there to guide. They knew this system inside out, but they were there to guide, but never pushed me inside that. A lot of things I think I gained from my parents. Some things which help me even today. Very inquisitive, right? From a very young age, and this is also where the love for quizzing, love for a lot of things, love for reading came up. They taught me to be very inquisitive and very open about knowing diverse things, a lot of topics and things like that. Also, some of the other things like which actually helped me today is I do not really procrastinate and just ponder about thing endlessly. I am fairly decisive. So a lot of these traits probably picked up from my parents, and they hold me in good stead even today.
Wow. That's great. So you mentioned two things. You mentioned a curiosity for knowledge and a thirst for knowledge and being open to learning. And you spoke about not procrastinating, being very decisive. So some great traits there for life, I'm sure. And other than your parents, did you have any mentors, any influencers while you were in school?
Not really. Means I actually look up even today, right? Not just at school, to a lot of really smart people. I can't single out someone in particular that, okay, I'm overly biased or influenced by that single person. But I was really lucky right from my childhood, where I had a lot of friends who are renowned academics today, to people in college, people who I've worked with, and my colleagues and things like that. And a lot of them, I look up to them, learned a lot of things from them. So no real mentor in particular as such over the journey, but I've really been lucky to work with some very smart people, and look up to them, learn from them, picked up a lot of the traits unconsciously from them, but no one in particular.
Well, that sounds great. And now coming to your college days, you've studied at the National Institute of Technology, Roorkela. Once again, you were part of the quiz team here. You played table tennis also. So any memorable incidents during these college days that have shaped you as a person or have had deep impact on you?
Not a specific incident, but in general, what I think what it did was that was my first experience away from home, and the college life taught me to be independent, confident, and also showed how having and I participated in a lot of things, and that also imbibed in the fact that having when you are having a team, part of a team, having diverse backgrounds, diverse skill sets, it's really a boon. It's not that, and this helped me even when I build up my teams now. I generally go for people with a diverse skill set. I do not try to hire my clones. So I think that's something it helped me confident about myself, and also taught a lot of things about being able to respect diversity as such. So something I take away from my college life there. Yet people all around India, the school life and college, was more about a very homogeneous environment. College was a much more diverse environment. Got to do a lot of activities, and that helped.
Right. Well, that's an absolutely great trait to have for a team player and for a leader to be able to work with, diverse backgrounds. Thank you so much for sharing that. Coming to your professional life, we spoke about a little bit about your career, and we would love you to take us through the evolution in your career over the years. Specifically, wanted to ask you, do you remember your first job or your first salary, and what did you do with it? How did you spend that money?
My first job, because that was a campus placement, and did joined with a lot of my friends there. It was at that time the hottest startup. Today it is Airtel. At that time it was called, the holding company was called Bharti Televentures, and we used to be there. So literally in 2002, that was the a hot startup of sorts. So I do remember it. I really don't recollect what I did with the salary. Obviously, did not do anything too tacky, but I don't remember. Probably partied it away. Nothing I remember about it.
Well, that's great. And so, out of the career that you have, the path that you've taken from your first job till date, would you like to speak a little about the highs and lows in career, and what have they taught you? What has your attitude been like when you achieved, great amounts of success? And more importantly, how did you take any lows, if there were any, in your career?
Yeah, I won't say there are highs or lows, but there are points in their career which gave a lot of satisfaction, right? So, right from the start, I have enjoyed building things. While at Cisco, built the multimedia protocols, which for the Cisco contact center products, build up the Aadhaar deduplication system. When we built it, it was the largest system in the world, and it was built out of India. So something which gave us a lot of, when we started, there was a lot of self-doubt. How do we build it and things like that. But by the time we were able to put it into production, and now the system has generated some 1.4 billion Aadhaar cards, it gives us a lot of satisfaction to be a part of that journey. Same at Walmart Labs, things we have built still power a lot of the global products at Walmart, Ola, and now it's all. So when I look back, these are the highs, the products my team has built, and the difference it makes to a lot of people, right? That gives me a lot of satisfaction. Not really low lows, but in the entire journey, when you're building things which are new and things, there is a lot of challenges, a lot of self-doubts, right? So when you start doing something which has not been done before, you have a lot of self-doubt. How do you do it? Will it succeed? Am I setting myself for failures and things like that? And that phase always comes. I think more and more with experience, I have been able to navigate those things better. But that's how it is.
Right. Well, thank you for sharing that. And over the years, could you tell us the leadership traits that you have picked up, while handling different teams, and anyone during your entire journey that you tried to emulate as a leader, or you really looked up to as a leader, and how did you go about? How did it happen? How did you pick up those traits?
So leadership traits, some things I try to do and not to do. So one thing I don't do is try to micromanage. Right. One thing I do is I really try to hire and work with really, really smart people. Right. My goal is to hire people smarter than me. Then my job is to actually foster the environment where everyone has the freedom to create the products, build it as best as they can. And the whole what I do, and this has worked with me in the past, I don't know how it will work in the future, is really be the enabler for them, right? Be the sounding board, be the enabler, rather than being a manager for them. I'm rarely the manager for them. I don't want to sort of manage things. My whole goal is to hire really, really smart people, work with really, really smart people, and then enable them. Together, once you have that, they can actually build really, really good products, projects, and things like that. And that generally has worked for me.
Right. And that must mean that you also place a lot of trust in on the other person. So I think, as you
Yeah.
said, it's worked for you. So great learnings there. Thank you so much for sharing that. And coming back, to your childhood days and your upbringing, anything that you think that has impacted your attitude towards life, both personal and professional? Any qualities that you picked up over the years that has impacted and helped your attitude towards your life?
One thing I mentioned about, right? So having both my parents being academics, that a sense of curiosity about diverse range of topics, right? Not just about what I am studying about or reading about, and things like that, right? So even today, I read a lot of economics, a lot of history, and things like that. Anything, give me a book, I'll be reading that. So that habit actually came in right from the childhood. And if I look back, it's because I saw my parents doing it a lot. Things, and that helped. The other thing is that participating in a lot of sports and things like that. even my dad used to play quite a lot of sports. And so what that helped me is being competitive, uh, but without being offensive, right? So in order to succeed, you have to be competitive. You have to be very confident about it. If you're not confident about achieving a goal, how can you inspire your team or anybody else that you will achieve that, especially in a startup environment where you are actually going against a lot of incumbents and things like that. So I think the one other thing is that I'm really passionate about what I do. I'm very competitive about it, but really sort of draw the line of not being offensive. So I think there's a very fine line between taking it a little too far. And that's something I think I picked up well from my parents and the people who I have been lucky to work with, meet, study with in my life.
Right. So healthy competition.
Healthy competition. I mean, have that attitude that you're competing, but do not be offensive, do not be judgmental and things like that. It's very important because the other person in the conversation also has a lot of things to add. Now, if you sort of are offensive, then you automatically alienate yourself, and that never works in the long run.
Right. At the end, you have to work in a team. It's all about teamwork.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. I'm going to ask you another question, and I would like you to give it some thought. What is it about your behavior that you think attracts people towards you? Because we saw in your profile, people had a lot of good things to say about you, how you were, great as a team player. So, anything that you could cite, about your behavior that you think people really like or appreciate about you?
I don't know. It's actually for others to answer. If I can, I think I always approach any relationship, right? Professional, personal, with a element of mutual respect, right? Even if I somehow don't agree with a point of view, or have professional differences, there's always a mutual respect around that. So I think that helps. I think I'm pretty much approachable. I'm approachable to the guys who's just coming out of the IITs and joining my team, and similar to the CEO of the company. So that way, I think those help. And more than that, I honestly don't know about it, what works or what doesn't work. But in general, I try to be approachable, and I genuinely try to build in a sense of mutual respect, even if I don't agree with that person. And there will always be, there will be a large number of people who might have a different, it's not that their views are wrong, it's just that it differs from my viewpoint. But that doesn't mean that you lose that respect and trust with that person. I think that helps at times.
Right. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. And I think some great learnings for our viewers on how a new age leader is. He or she is open and, approachable to people. And I think that's what makes a great leader. So thank you for sharing that once again. Coming to, your industry, technology is ever changing and yours is a very skill oriented industry. So how have you invested in yourself to keep improving upon your skills?
I have been lucky in that sense. So generally, when I pick up some project or product to build, I when I even when I switch a company or something like that, or pick up something to do, the whole idea is that I am always looking to build something which is challenging. Now, when you are trying to disrupt a certain area, you are building something which others have not done, you automatically have to be working at the cutting edge of technology, right? So and that has helped, right? So we have built, so for example, sorry to be technical, but data grids, in-memory data grids, when it was not in fashion, right? We have built it ourselves. We have used networking techniques which are now considered state of the art. We used it some 10 years ago. What has happened is that I did not really need to go out of my way to be current. Generally, that's where I think I'm just lucky that I got a chance to work on products where that was par for the course. That helped. Going forward, how to do it, I think I have to still figure it out. But till now, I think I was just lucky that I got to work on very, very cutting edge, very large scale products around that. And that automatically forced me to be at the cutting edge of data science, cutting edge of distributed computing, and things like that. I think that's what helped me out.
Right. Well, thank you so much. We got one more takeaway from that. Don't be scared to step out of your comfort zone and try something different. So thank you for sharing that for our viewers.
You will never learn. That's something means you always have to step out of your comfort zone. If you're in a comfort zone, you will probably never do anything which is defining.
Absolutely. And now, on a lighter note, let's talk about your hobbies and interests. So, table tennis, yes. Apart from that, any other activities or hobbies that you like to unwind with?
I do play tennis on the weekends. Love reading anytime when I get a chance. In fact, even in the office, we have a library, nice library where people can pick up books. I love cooking, good way to unwind. So that's about it.
Absolutely. They say cooking is very therapeutic. And what is it that you have missed out on in this professional journey? Do you think you have any regrets over the years?
Not real regrets, but there are a lot of projects. Means obviously, as a single person, I cannot work on everything. But there are a lot of projects which are built out of India, which I really admire, and I would love to be a part of it. One of them is UPI. I was part of Aadhaar, but by the time I had moved on from Aadhaar project. But I really envy the team which got to build UPI. It's currently we work with the American banking system, and everybody I talk to is in awe with how UPI has changed the payment landscape in India. So there are some things like that which I would have loved to work. So I won't say it's a regret, but I envy the people who got a chance to do this.
You feel like you're missing out on something?
Not missing out. I would have loved to do it. Do that part of that journey and things like
that. Okay. Well, sure. Thank you so much. And great conversation there. We'll move into a fun segment. Like I mentioned, the rapid fire round. And you can give us short answers. You can give us one-word answers. And that way we get to know you a little more. So shall we go ahead with that?
Sure. I'm really bad at that. So, but yeah, anyway, we can.
Okay, so we'll give you time to think of the answers. All right, so let's go with the first one. What would you choose as your ideal holiday? Would it be a beach or a mountain?
A mountain when compared to a beach, but ideally I like a city destination.
A city destination. Okay. And work from home or work from office?
I'll go against the grain, office.
Okay. Planning your life or going with the flow?
Going with the flow. I'm very bad at planning.
Bangalore or Bengaluru?
Bangalore. I actually like the charm of the old Bangalore. I tend to miss it. It's too busy and too much of hustle bustle nowadays.
Right. Would you say you're an optimistic person, cynical or realistic?
I'd like to think I'm realistic. I don't know.
All right. If you were granted one wish, what would your wish be?
This is difficult. I think I really envy the audacity of the vision some of the industry leaders have, and some of normal, even outside the industry people have. I would genuinely love to have that kind of vision attitude, which yes. So if I can ask the genie for that, I would ask for that.
Sure. Best compliment that someone has given you?
I don't remember, honestly.
I think all the awards that you've received. Time machine. If there was a time machine, would you like to go back in time or visit the future?
I'll definitely visit the future.
Right. Since you like reading books, what would be your choice? Paperback books, the old-fashioned way, audiobooks, or Kindle?
Though I do a lot of audiobooks because the travel in Bangalore allows you that time, but I generally prefer paperbacks.
Are you a morning person or an evening person?
Morning.
Okay. All right. So, would you like to share with us any one, quote or any poem or any song or film that has resonated with your life that you hold on to dearly?
I don't know. I don't think there is any single book or thought which has influenced me that yeah, nothing that dramatic. Sorry to disappoint you with that. Nothing in particular.
That's absolutely okay. All right. Favorite city in the world?
Bangalore for sure, and I think Boston.
All right. And finally, life is incomplete without fill in the blank.
Life is incomplete without. Here I'd be a little, yeah, means life is incomplete without Anaisha, my daughter. So
Oh, that's lovely. All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. And that was a wonderful chat indeed. Thank you, Nataraj, once again, for joining us and sharing with us about your life and your journey. It surely will inspire and resonate with our viewers who are watching Cutting Chai Stories. Now we have with us in this very interesting conversation, Mr. Aditya Agarwal, Head Large Enterprise, Lenovo, India. Hi, Aditya. How are you?
Hi.
So,
Good.
thank you for joining us in this conversation. I have a question now that I'll be putting forward to the both of you. And I'll begin with you first, Natraj. Please tell us, according to you, what are the top IT challenges that you foresee going forward?
One is obviously data security and privacy, right? So the whole world is becoming it's going digital, right? Everything which was physical has gone digital, and privacy, GDPR in Europe, CCPA in US, India is coming up with the laws. So data security and privacy is going to be very, very important as we move forward, right? All the data resides in the cloud. So how do we make it secure and things like that? So that I think is a challenge that we have to work with. Also, I think data localization, there is a lot of sort of nationalization of data in a sense. So data for one country should reside in one country. So both of them are going to be a big challenge as we go forward.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for that. Coming to you, Aditya, let me ask the same to you. What are the top IT challenges that you foresee going forward?
So I would totally echo Nataraj's view about data security. We in fact see security landscape becoming more complex with more security issues, as well as people working from anywhere, right? That kind of adds up to the stress of the system. So yes, challenge-wise, I think security is a big one, especially if you want to keep the people productive, because security comes with two. You have two spectrums. One, you can totally stop access of people, then you'll be very secure, but people will be unhappy, and industry is anyway going through retention issues, and you'll have good people leaving. But the moment you have on the other side, right, where you give full access to people, that is where you start getting into issues on security. So how do you balance this, which is not just a security issue, a retention as well as a user experience issue? I think this is one of the big challenges facing the industry.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. And thank you, gentlemen. And to all our viewers who are enjoying this conversation, stay tuned for many more stories. This is the Economic Times Cutting Chai Stories. Thank you.